I am so glad you are here. I'm Liz here at Megas Books and Herbs, and it is Energy Sunday in my world. So let's talk Reiki energy today and what you should expect in those first few moments when you are having Reiki done to you in an appointment. So this discussion is inspired by Reiki for Beginners. This is by David Van Els. He's a British Reiki practitioner and teacher. Delightful book. But he talks about the first thing that the practitioner should do once their client is laid out on the massage table, presumably, that they're going to be on for their duration of their appointment, is he recommends that you take your hands as the practitioner and go over the person's body and just look for those places where you're going to need to concentrate your energy. And I thought, well, I don't do that, but I do evaluate this. And why do I not do that? And what do other people do? So if you really like sensing that energy in your hands, I think you might enjoy, as a practitioner, doing that first quick glimpse. It's going to take you less than a minute, probably, to sort of evaluate where you might need to focus your energy. If you're a very visual person, you might have already done that as you opened yourself up to the client and their needs, and you've done it visually. You've seen it as you've just simply looked at them. Nothing wrong with either of these two methods. I don't use either of them, though. So what do I do? When you are on the table and I say, should we begin? And we start, I start doing Reiki immediately. Now, I will say that the author of this lovely book does at the close of that section say, you don't have to do this. The Reiki energy goes where it's most needed anyway. And he's right. David there is absolutely right about that. It will go where it needs to go. This doesn't mean I don't sense those things. For me, it starts with the first time I do Reiki on that person. I go through their body using the traditional hand positions that were first brought to America by the first Reiki teacher here in the US. And I sense where I know I'm going to want to come back to concentrate some efforts. And for me, that's an important phase of process, and one that I prefer to the early scan method, because if I did an early scan, I would feel a little bit locked into that personally. That's just my personality. I would feel a little locked into that, and it would prevent me from seeing other things, deeper things, as I went through the process with the client of the Reiki session. So for me, it's important that I remain open to their healing needs and what I sense throughout the whole process. Sometimes it's completely undeniable. One of my favorite cases to refer to is a delightful case where I am so grateful this person's partner was in the room, because I would do the Reiki, we're going down the body, life is good, we're getting there, and I get to a leg. It happened to be this person's right leg, and put my hands over the right leg where I want them, and the leg jumps. I don't mean a tiny bit. I mean like a good 4 to 6 inches off the table, jumps. The partner looks up from their book. I look at the partner. They look at me, because I've taken my hands, so I put my hands back while we're both watching, jumps. Sometimes it's that obvious. And by the way, that only happened on that leg, and it happened every time I went to that leg until I'd done it enough that all of that energy had smoothed out, calmed down, and was behaving the way we all want it to behave, so that we feel better in our bodies, mentally, physically, spiritually, and on all of the levels on which Reiki works, which is all of the levels. So sending all of that positive, universal love energy into that leg eventually got it to stop trying to leave the table on its own. Got it to stop those big high jumps. But it took the whole session almost to get there. It's not always that obvious. In fact, it's rarely that obvious. That's why it's one of my favorites. But you feel it as you go through the process, and you find that, oh, I know I'm going to come to these areas, and we're going to focus on these areas of the body. And you get the sense when you're done with an area and move on to the next area. And then perhaps you go back just to be sure it's not unwriting itself, that it's not skewing itself again. You write it again. And we just do that throughout the session for as much time as we can. And it's strictly by feel. So whether you scan first or the practitioner does it visually so that you're not even aware it's happening, whether it's incorporated into the giving of the Reiki energy, the way mine is, they all work. They're all suitable. And as long as the practitioner does nothing that harms you or makes you uncomfortable, then you're in a safe space and you can heal. And that's what really matters in Reiki. Well, on behalf of myself and the rest of the crew here at Megas Books and Herbs in Minneapolis and online at megasbooks.com, I want to thank you for joining me and for being your best magical you. We think you are amazing over here, and we look forward to seeing you in the shop and on our website, megasbooks.com. Blessed be.